All right, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, well, we're solving one of the problems of routing internal hydraulic hoses. But before we get into today's video, if you are new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell icon right next to that. That way you get notified every time I upload. That way you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content on this channel. So like I said, we are solving one of the problems with routing hydraulic hoses on an internal frame. Now, if you've ever done internal routing with hydraulic hoses, you know the suckiest thing is you have to disconnect your hose, generally from the lever, to then feed the hose back down through the frame to then either remove your brake, install your brake, whatever you got to do. Move your brake to a different bike, whatever things you have to do. The hardest part is you have to completely rebleed your system every time you do that, anytime you do that. It's kind of a pain. Now, I've shown on the channel that sometimes you get lucky and you don't have to worry about rebleeding it. And there are little tricks and things there that you can kind of make work. But again, sometimes you have to bleed. Most of the time, let's be real, most of the time you're going to have to rebleed your system after that. And that's kind of a pain. So, while I was a sea otter, I found a great product from the guys over at Zeno. And it kind of blew my mind that this hadn't existed before. Now, for myself, I've worked in the automotive industry, I've worked in the heavy equipment industry, and knowing both those industries, I'm like, there are quick connects for hydraulic hoses out there. Heavy equipment uses quick connects for their hydraulic hoses. There's quick connects on automotive stuff. Why is there not one on bikes? Like, what's the big deal? You know, if you have a quick connect essentially for your hydraulic hoses, that you don't have to worry about anything, you just disconnect it real quick, remove your brake, do whatever you need to do, reinstall it, and you're set to go. You don't have to bleed anything. It just has the fluid already in there. Why hasn't that been a thing? Well, my friends over at Zeno, they thought that through. They thought that through right here. So essentially, their product is quick connectors for connecting your hydraulic lines, your brake hoses together. So they have pretty much a few different options here. I'll kind of show them all. You guys can see them all. But they have options from full hoses that are already set up with the connectors on them. So, of course, it's going to be a male end and then a female end. Where's the female end? There it is. And a female end. So you have that option. Already has them on there. Great choice there. And then they sell it just in the connectors itself that you can install on your own lines. And it's kind of neat how it all works. So let me pull one of these out. I'll show you kind of how it all connects. It's really a seamless process to go for. So like any of these quick connectors, there's a male side and a female side, or the pin side is what they call it. So the pin side right here just goes onto your hose. Again, a couple different versions. We're going to show you the different versions that they offer. But essentially your pin side has a seal right there, has an O-ring. Essentially has these two little pins here that connect into the female side. Your female side, same deal, goes onto your hose right there. And then this guide has, again, same kind of seal inside, like you would see on a kind of heavy-duty hydraulic equipment. Has that thing inside, and then has slots right here. And so essentially these two just go together right here. And as you push them together, you twist to lock it in place. And there you go. You have your connection right there, making it a perfect flow through. Nothing different than a normal hydraulic hose. Then if you need to service your hydraulic brakes or get it through the frame, clean it out, you know, put some anti-rattle, whatever you need to do. Whatever you need to do. It's as simple as just pushing these two lines together, twisting them, and they could just pop right apart, and there's going to be no leakage there. It seals them up. No issues. Really, really kind of cool. And then, yeah, once you're ready to hook them back up, you just push them back together, click them into place. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I'm excited to put these on my bikes. So like I was saying, they do have a couple versions of these. So these guys here are your Crimp style. So they do sell a crimper, which I do have. They sent me that out so I can try out the Crimp version. So they have the Crimp version. Then they have a kind of a DIY setup where essentially you can use just wrenches and tighten it down with wrenches, and it does kind of the same effect as this one. And then they have those full hoses that are already set up with the connectors on them should you want to go for a brand new hose route. In my case, we're going to use the two different versions of the connectors. We're going to pass on the hoses today just because all my hoses are relatively new. These brakes are all within about a year or two old. I feel no need to swap any of my hoses. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look. We're going to do the DIY one first. We're going to install a DIY setup here on the Norton. We're going to do it for the rear brake because, well, That's the one that runs internal. Probably the one that most common people are going to use on their mountain bikes. So let me bring you guys, I'm going to bring you guys closer to this brake hose. It should be, I think, this one here. Yep, this hose right here. Show you guys kind of how this works. That way it's something you guys can do on your own. And then I'll show you the fancier crimp version, and we'll install the crimp ones on my redwood. A little bit sleeker. I think it'll look really good on the redwood. And the redwood, we're doing both front and rear because the hose goes internal on the fork. So come a little closer. Let's take a look. Start working on the bike. All right. So with the Norton here, we're going to use the DIY setup here. So the DIY setup, similar, looks similar, a little bit chunkier. So essentially with this one, you still have the same quick connects on here. However, you have this piece which actually screws together, and then inside of here, you have your little ball fitting right in there. So pretty much what you have to do, you have to cut your hydraulic lines. So make sure you have good hydraulic hose cutters. You're gonna need to cut that line. You're then going to slide on our collar right here. I'm gonna slide this collar onto the side, put our ferrule into the end, and then you're going to then screw this together. Get everything kind of looking like it should. So that's gonna go in there. So your hose will be coming into that fitting. You're then going to get this, go right here, and you're just going to screw these together. So you do need 2 8mm wrenches. That way you can tighten those together. And then after that, your line is all set. So when you install these, there's the pin side, and then there's the socket side right here. Similar, different. Pin side has to be on the side of your hose with the brake lever. So essentially pin side is going to be right here. Socket side is going to be off of this right here. And that's going to be how they connect. Don't ask me why. That's just how things are. That's how they say you need to install them. Probably has to do with the flow. I don't know. But that's how you're going to install them right there. So, I think what we got to do next is cut our brake line. Man. All right. Like I said, you're probably going to have to rebleed after the first one. I will say you are going to lose brake fluid coming down. So I happen to have these little screws from I don't remember what. But these actually fit into the brake line perfectly once you screw them in, and it'll stop the brake fluid from dripping. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to cut this somewhere right in here. Thinking right there might work. So I don't want to go too far down here. So I'm thinking right there. Looks a pretty decent spot. We're then going to plug the front part of this hose, and we'll work on the rear, and then we'll unplug and do the front. Kind of in that order. So we're hopefully not losing a ton of brake fluid here. You also want to make sure that you're not close to like your rotors or anything. So in our case, we are far enough away from our rotor and brake pad. We're not going to contaminate that one, especially you need to look down, you know. On this bike, the rotor and the pads are way up here. We're far enough away. We're not going to get anything on them. A gravel bike might be a different story. So, all right, let's cut this thing. All right, make sure we're cutting the right one. All right, that is my hydraulic hose right here. I'm thinking right there, a pretty good spot. We're gonna go ahead and snip it, flip it up. Okay, that should help that side. And then we got our bottom side right here, which actually, that thing cut really good. Okay, so bottom side needs to be our socket. Something dripped. What dripped? Did this drip? I think so. That's okay. Slow drip I'll take. All right, so we need to do our socket side here. So, like I said, we're going to throw our sleeve down over our hose, just like that. We have our little ferrule that needs to go in here. You have a press. You have one of the little press things. It makes it a whole lot easier. I do not have one of those press things. Probably should get one. Okay, it's going down. Perfect. I'm going to get that all the way bottomed out. There we go, got that one bottomed out. Get our socket piece, get our sleeve. Like I said, we're just going to screw these together. Just like so. There are 2 8mm wrenches. There are wrench flats on the socket piece, wrench flats here, and we're just going to tighten these guys up. There we go. All right. Feel nice and tight. So there's our socket connector right there. Now we gotta do just the same deal for the pin. So we can put our hose cutters away for a second. Okay. Pull our pin one apart. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put our sleeve. Ugh. Put our sleeve over. Just like that. Get our ferrule installed. All right. There's the ferrule. That needs to go a little bit more. There we go. Okay, ferrule, sleeve, pin connector. Tighten them up. All right, we just got to tighten these up together. Okay, feels pretty good to me. We get a paper towel. Now from there, make sure your connectors are clean, nothing in them. And we should be able just to find the holes, line them up, push it together, twist, and there we go. Now they do say to disconnect, connect them like 5 times or something like that, just to make sure that everything's seating properly. So we can do that real quick. It's really not that hard. Once it's on the bike, this is ridiculously easy. Okay, so let's got right there. See if we still have brakes. Oh, we are leaking like crazy all of a sudden. Uh-oh. Did the ball not get seated all the way or something? Pop this apart, see what we got going on up here. Okay. That's connected now. Let's see. Let's shove it back in. Let's see what happens here. It's like from the other side. Ah! Okay. Maybe I just didn't get them near tight enough how they need to be. We got rid of this leak. So this leak's good. Now we got a leak down here. Maybe I just didn't get them seated quite as well as they should be. Maybe it's the user error, which is very possible. Okay, so that's as tight as that one I feel like wants to go. So let's give this another shot. All right, let me put some fluid in this brake lever. But that's coming back. You see any leaks anywhere? Yes. Right there, same spot, I think. Yeah, still leaking right there. Can we tighten this up any more? Oh, that made it worse. What the heck? Okay, so I did get it. There we go. So for some reason, again, I think it was installer error, this one kept leaking. So what I ended up doing was over-tightening it. And you don't want to over-tighten it because you will crack these pieces right there. There's a nice crack going through right there, which means it's never going to tighten up. It's just going to leak forever. So I replaced it with the second one. Thankfully, they sent me 2. So, I could mess up on the first one and, be okay to do it again. So I did it with the second one. And I just tried to get that ferrule, this little guy, in as far as I could. I ended up getting a pair of pliers and just twisting it in just to get it go as far as I possibly could in there. And after that, I pretty much ran out of fluid in this, the line here. So I put a cup up here on the lever. You guys can see right there. Got a bleeder cup up on the lever. Filled it up. Got it bled some again to where, yeah, it feels good. And I can slam on this brake. And there's not a drop of fluid that comes out, which is really cool. It's really nice. And the brake feels solid. All that good stuff. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take this off. We're going to tighten this up. Tighten up our bleeder valve up here. Our bleeder port. And we're going to try and disconnect. So now with that off, brake still feels good. Okay. Now I should be able to disconnect this. We should be able to connect it back up. And we should have full good brake feel still. So there's the insides. No fluid leaking out. Obviously there's some right around the edge. That's just kind of what's going to happen with brake fluid. With these connectors, so that's okay. Put it back together. Rehook it up. Grab our brake lever. Oh, it feels just like it did before. Hey, Okay. Okay. So now, should we want to remove the brake or remove the brake lever or whatever we need to do, you can just pull them apart. When you do take them apart, you want to make sure it's clean before you put it back in. So if you're doing work or whatnot, you want to make sure it's nice and clean. And then you just pop them back together. And it's like you never took them apart. That's really nice. Wow. And even if I slam on it, we have no fluid coming out of anywhere. That's a cool little invention there. I like that guy. So yeah, you do want to make sure it's seated, and it totally is. And then yeah, feels like just completely normal. Like nothing's changed at all. Plus it gave it a little tiny bit extra length, which is kind of cool. Okay. So there's kind of the DIY setup. It takes a little bit of trial and error, as you just saw. Had to fight through this one. This one wasn't tight enough. Essentially with the DIY, the biggest thing is making sure your ferrule is all the way in, as far in as you can get that sucker to go in. If you have the press, cool, it probably does it for you. Otherwise, get it started in there, then get a pair of pliers and just lightly push and turn it in and just keep going until you feel like it can't possibly go anymore. And that's when it should go, because you want it seated all the way in there. I think this was my big problem on the top one. Second, don't tighten these too much. There is a torque spec 9 to 11 Newton meters. Yeah, I went over that. It's hard to go over that with 8mm wrenches, but it's possible to do that. So don't over tighten that guy. Connect and reconnect them a few times. And yeah, after that, you're good to go. We're gonna give this guy a shot. See how well this thing works. So yeah, that's cool, that one. So let's go do the other version, the one with the, what do they call it? The press? The not press. Yeah, press. The clamp. The crimp. That's what I'm looking for. So we got this one set out. Figured this whole thing out. Let's go do the one with the crimp on the redwood now. Whew. Hopefully that one's a little bit easier than this guy. And yeah, we'll move from there. But hey, we got it. We got that thing on there. All right, so the ones we're doing on the redwood, we're going to use the crimp style, which is kind of the more professional lineup of things, mainly because you need these crimp pliers here. And the pliers are not they're not the cheapest things. They work, they do a job, they're hefty. So we'll talk about this in a second, but you need these specific crimp pliers to do theirs. Pretty much you can see the teeth up on there on the jaw. That's really what you need. But for at least the basis of them, they're the same as what we just did, minus the connecting part to the hose. So same connectors, same, pin and socket kind of deal, where they just go together and then you just push them together. What's going on here? There you go, push them together, twist, and they lock together. Minus, yeah, they're much thinner, much slimmer, and that's just due to the fact that, yeah, you use this crimper to crimp them onto the lines. So a little bit more permanent, but I feel like this should be good. So on these little guys, it's going to be so hard to see because it's even hard to see in person, but there is an A on our socket piece, there's an A on the pin piece and a C on the socket piece. So on our jaws, there's also a C, B, and an A based on what you have. There is a B, I don't have the B's. We have A and C for my application here. So pretty much what you would do with those, get your C, you line your C up, you would make sure it's in the right side, bumped up against the stop there, make sure it's nice and even all the way around, and then you would just crimp it down pretty much in 4 places, 90 degrees off from each other. And that's in theory going to crimp this onto our brake lines. So we're going to do the same deal as last time. Pin has to be on the top, socket on the bottom, just like that. We're going to try and do this the same way. We're going to take off our little anti-rub thing there. We're going to do the front one first, and I guess I need to see what we're kind of looking at space-wise and where this guy's going to line up best. And we'll get a little bit of extra in there. I'm thinking we might just go boom right there. All right, we got pliers, we got the crimpers. Okay. They do come with instructions too. Okay, so we got the crimp one installed here. It's tricky. You got to do it just right. We replace the bottom piece, I think that recorded before the camera cut off. But replace this piece. This piece I actually cracked and tore where the crimp goes. There's a crack right there. And so obviously it wouldn't seal. So it just leaked out of that crack. Problem is when you crimp it on, you can't really uncrimp it. So you have to just cut it and do it again. So you have to cut off, you know, that little bit, 1/4 inch of hose, to then recrimp a new one on. Once I recrimped it, this one's no problem at all. I have full brake feel in it. Feels fine, no leaks. And it looks really clean. It looks really clean. Like you'd look at that and you're thinking it's like an adjuster, but it looks really, really good. And I kind of like the look of that. So I'm going to email Zeno kind of what I thought about this. You know, come back to this video if, you know, anything changes. But these are kind of a pain. Kind of a pain. They're nice once they're on, but installing them, man, whew, that's I mean, saying I messed up on I messed up on a connector for the do-it-yourself version, and I messed up a connector on the crimp version. I only did it once on each one, thankfully. They're difficult. They're tricky. And yeah, I wish they weren't as tricky. They're drawing a line between a durable piece and a thin piece, and they're definitely on that line to the point where, yeah, you mess up, your thin piece is going to crack or it's going to split. So it's good for weight savings, good for all of that. Honestly, if I had more of these, I would install them. I would love to install these on a full bike. That was the plan, was to do this whole bike and the quick connects, the crimps, but we messed up. So we're down a connector. So they're definitely cool. Let me email them, and we'll pick this video up back after I've talked to them a little bit more. I don't know which one's easier, which one's better. The crimp was nice because there's nothing there. They're much smaller, yada, yada, yada. But the do-it-yourself was simpler without any extra tools, but they both had their problems, I feel like. So we'll pick this back up. Let's do it that. Let's pick this back up in a couple days. All right, so it's been about 2 weeks since I filmed the last clip on this bike, and I've had a chance to reach out to Zeno. I've had the chance to let this bike sit. I've had the chance to test ride this, see kind of what I thought. So we'll start off with the test ride, and it's kind of sitting. I rode this bike a couple times. I've ridden both bikes a couple times, honestly. If you guys remember, we did the front brake in the crimp style on my Redwood, and we did the DIY style on my rear brake on my mountain bike here. Neither one has caused issues. They both work good. They both feel good. I will say this one here on my gravel bike, I do need to bleed that front brake. It needs to get a little bit of air out of it and some more fluid in it. Pretty simple to do. We'll make a video all about that, bleeding these brakes. But other than that, they feel good. After a week, riding them again, no leaks. Have not noticed any issues with it that would make you feel like it was causing an issue with your braking system. That's kind of a nice thing to know, is even if you leave your bike there for a bit, you're going to come back and everything's going to be perfectly fine. I can just connect it back up. No problems at all. I really like them. They seem to work really well for me. Now, reaching out to Zeno, I kind of told him my experience with how it went. You guys saw it here on camera. You saw how everything kind of went. I kind of told him my experience, and yeah, it's a little trickier than you would initially think it is. It's a little bit harder to do than you would initially think. And they agreed with me. Yeah, it is a little bit trickier. However, once you get a couple down, it's a little more simpler, and I could agree with that case. Yeah, it is a little simpler. The more you get it done, the more you get to it. So with that, they also told me that there are kind of two different parts of kind of their business model. So they have their business to consumer model, and then they have their business to business model. The business to business model we'll start off with, that's going to be where you see these crimp style fittings here. So I do remember them saying when I was at the Sea Otter that these crimping tools, this isn't the cheapest thing. And I can agree, it does not feel cheap. I mean, the special jaws, everything put into this, these don't feel cheap. These are a hefty, kind of shop quality tool right here. So, kind of makes sense. You also can get them in you also get all the fittings kind of in a box, so you can do it to multiple bikes. It's kind of the big deal with that. So that's kind of more your business to business model, where a shop would be buying that and doing the installs on multiple different bikes. Kind of makes sense. Then you have your business to consumer kind of style, which is going to be your DIY setups, as well as the pre-crimped hoses like these guys here. That's going to be your business to consumer side. So that's pretty much for the majority of us out there. And honestly, that kind of makes it simple. Should you just want to swap out your hoses for ones that already have the ends on them, no crimping needed, you can redo the length of them, make them however long you need them to be, this is a great option to go with. The pre-made hoses here. If you want to do it yourself and you already like the length of your hoses, you just want to add the quick connect in there. The DIY setup works really well for that as well. It's just a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier of a fitting than you would get with the crimp style. Is that a big deal? Not really for me. I'm okay with the size of it, especially my mountain bike. It kind of fits there. Now, for the crimp style, I honestly would probably go with these. I would probably go with the pre-made hoses. As you guys saw, the crimping is a little bit trickier to do. And something I don't know whether I would really want to do it a bunch of times in a row as someone at my own house. That makes sense. This is the affordable way to go. They're already crimped. You're not going to have leaks with them. You just run them yourself, pop your ferrules in the end, get everything all set. And there you go. You got them all set for your specific brakes. So that's the way I would go. So that's kind of where that separation is. You want to be a shop that wants to do it yourself, the crimping tool and the crimp on ends, that's available for you. You want to do it yourself in your garage to one bike, you have the hoses or the DIY kit. Pretty simple, whichever way you want to go. From what I've seen, if you want the struggle-free, you're just putting hose ends on that you would do to connect to your brake lever and your caliper. Stuff you normally do when you're just replacing your hoses. The pre-crimped hoses, that's just the way to go. Really, really simple. For the DIY guy that wants to do it yourself, the DIY connector fittings, that's a really easy way to go as well. So I'm really looking forward to these. I'm going to continue to ride these. Like I said, I do have one on here for the front. I want to go on the back as well. Kind of cool with this bike because it does wireless shifting. So realistically, these two brake hoses are all that's connecting the cockpit to the rest of the bike. If I can get one on the rear right here as well, we can pull the whole handlebar system off and it's totally separate from the bike. Kind of cool just to have. Kind of cool to say we can do that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to using them. So I will keep you guys up to date on how these things are going, how these things are working, especially as we do some more rides this year. Like I said, it's only been 2 weeks. But after those 2 weeks of they fit and there's no leaks at all and they can come apart and everything, I honestly have not had an issue at all with it. So if you guys are interested in checking out some of these hydraulic quick connects from Zeno, there's going to be a link in the description down below. Really cool product. Check them out. I am glad to see people innovating in the bike space, bringing technology from heavier duty stuff back down to bikes, making it simpler for us that like to pull our bikes apart, like to fix different things, likes to do different things on our bikes. That's what I really like to see. If you guys enjoyed the video, give this video a big thumbs up. Appreciate the support. Any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys. Love answering questions you guys have. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.